37 states now allow insurance companies to legally purchase your driving data directly from your vehicle's manufacturer, without your knowledge, without a separate opt-in, and buried in the terms of service you signed when you activated the infotainment system. That data includes your speed, your braking force, your cornering behavior, your seatbelt compliance, and the exact time of day you drive. It is being sold, right now, while your truck sits in your driveway. General Motors launched its OnStar Smart Driver program in 2015. By 2023, GM had quietly enrolled over 13 million vehicles in a data-sharing agreement with LexisNexis Risk Solutions, a data broker that sells behavioral profiles directly to insurance underwriters. Drivers who never opted in saw their premiums increase. Some were denied coverage entirely. A 2023 investigation by the New York Times confirmed that drivers in at least 5 states received insurance rate hikes they could not explain until they discovered their own vehicle had been reporting them. You did not buy a truck. You bought a surveillance device with a tow rating. To understand how this happened, you have to go back to 2012. That is when the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration began requiring event data recorders, black boxes, on all new vehicles sold in the United States. HTSA, Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard, 49 CFR Part 563, mandated that these recorders capture pre-crash speed, throttle position, brake application, and seatbelt status. The stated purpose was crash reconstruction. That was the public justification. The hardware was already in place. The architecture was already built. All that remained was expanding the data pipeline and finding a buyer for what was flowing through it. Ford moved first at scale. In 2020, Ford expanded its connected vehicle platform to continuously stream driving metrics from F-150s, Explorers, and Broncos, equipped with Sync 4. The system uploads data in real time via the vehicle's embedded LTE modem. Ford's privacy policy, updated quietly in April 2021, disclosed that this data could be shared with third-party partners for marketing, research, and insurance purposes. The disclosure was on page 11 of a 43-page document written in legal language. No dealer mentioned it. No salesman explained it. It was already transmitting when you drove off the lot. The specific module responsible in the 2021 and newer F-150 is the Telematics Control Unit, designated TCU-FD. It draws power continuously, key on or key off, and maintains a persistent cellular connection. You cannot disable it through the infotainment menu. A full disconnection requires physical removal of the module, which is located behind the instrument cluster, and requires dealer-level diagnostic software to complete, without triggering fault codes that affect emissions compliance and warranty status. They built the pipe before they told you what they were going to pump through it. Now look at what the data is actually used for. LexisNexis Risk Solutions operates a product called Telematics Exchange. As of 2023, according to their published documentation, Telematics Exchange had ingested driving behavior data from over 80 million vehicles. That data is structured into risk scores. Those risk scores are sold to insurance carriers. Progressive, Allstate, and State Farm have all confirmed use of third-party telematics data in underwriting. They do not have to tell you which data source flagged you. They are not required to. General Motors went further. The OnStar Smart Driver program, which GM presented as a voluntary safety feature, was enrolling vehicles by default in certain trim levels. A class action lawsuit filed in the Northern District of Illinois in 2023, Brodsky versus General Motors, alleged that GM had enrolled drivers without meaningful consent, and that the resulting insurance data sharing violated the Driver's Privacy Protection Act. GM disputed the characterization. The case was settled in 2024. The settlement terms were not publicly disclosed. Ram and Stellantis operate a parallel system called Connected Vehicle Services, embedded in the Uconnect 5 platform standard on 2021 and newer Ram 1500S. The Uconnect Privacy Agreement, last updated in 2022, discloses data sharing with affiliates and service providers. Stellantis has a direct commercial relationship with Verisk Analytics, another insurance data broker. The Ram you bought to work your land is filing reports about how you drove to the hardware store. The insurance industry does not call this surveillance. They call it usage-based insurance. The language was engineered to make a profit extraction mechanism sound like a consumer benefit. The data is asymmetric. They know everything about how you drive, and you know nothing about how they use it or who they sell it to. The financial logic is not complicated. In 2022, the global telematics insurance market was valued at $9.9 billion. By 2030, analysts at Grandview Research Project, it will exceed $60 billion. That is $60 billion derived from data generated by vehicles their owners believed they owned outright. The automakers are not just selling trucks anymore. They are selling access to the people who bought the trucks. You are not the customer. You are the product. The truck was the subscription fee. Here is what you can still do. If you own a truck built before 2016, you likely have an event data recorder, but no persistent cellular modem. The data exists only locally and can only be accessed physically, either by law enforcement with a warrant or by a crash reconstruction team. That data is not being transmitted anywhere. Vehicles in this category include the 2009 through 2014 Ford F-15, with the 5.0 Coyote or 6.2 Boss engine, the 2010 through 2018 Ram 1500 with the 5.7 Hemi in non-e-torque configuration, and the 2007 through 2013 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 with the 5.3 LS engine. These trucks have no embedded modem. They cannot report on you because they have no way to call home. If you own a newer truck, your options are more limited, but they are not zero. You can opt out of OnStar entirely by calling 1-8884-OnStar and requesting full data deletion under the California Consumer Privacy Act. This applies regardless of which state you live in, because GM uses California law as its opt-out standard. For Ford connected services, the opt-out is in the Ford Pass app under Privacy Settings, but the TCU-FD module continues to operate. The modem remains active. What changes is what Ford claims to do with the data, not whether the data is generated. The Right to Repair Coalition, operating under the framework of the American Association of Independent Vehicle Dealers, has filed comments with the FTC specifically citing vehicle telematics as an emerging consumer protection issue. The FTC opened a formal inquiry into connected vehicle data practices in July 2023. That inquiry is ongoing. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has issued guidance stating that insurance pricing based on opaque third-party data may constitute an unfair or deceptive act under UDAAP standards. These are levers that exist. They are slow, but they exist. Support your state's right to repair legislation where it includes data access provisions. Massachusetts already passed a vehicle data access law in 2020. The auto industry spent over $25 million fighting it in court. They fought that hard because the data is worth that much. The best defense is the truck they cannot reach. The second best defense is knowing exactly how far they can reach into the one you already own. Next video, we are going inside the dealer scan tool, specifically why an independent shop with the same part in hand legally cannot complete certain repairs on post-2019 trucks without dealer authorization, and what that authorization actually costs them to obtain. The number is going to make you very quiet for a moment. If this channel is giving you information the industry does not want you to have, the subscribe button is how you make sure the next piece finds you. This work does not stop. They made the truck smarter. They just forgot to mention who it got smart for.